welcome to the third of our pre-event workshop series for HackOut 2020. My name is Julian Bryant. I'm one of the hosts for the event this year, and I really just enjoyed being part of these events. I've been involved with HackOut for the past 3 years, and it's just a great experience to build entrepreneurship within the LGBTQIA+ community. I'm an iOS developer based in San Diego, but I'm not the only host for the event today, so I want to bring up Robbi to introduce herself.
Hello, HackOut 2020. It's so good to be back. My name is Robbi Katherine Anthony. I was actually a participant in HackOut 2019, and my idea ended up taking first place and became a full company, and now it's my full-time job. So I'm just super excited to be back here and help that next class of entrepreneurs.
Robbi, I'm super excited to have you. We keep using the word super excited because we are. I'm excited to have you here because you because you had that experience from last year. I remember your presentation last year. There was just a ton of energy on the stage. It was a really cool adventure that we all went on. So we have the social. Today isn't a workshop so much as it's a social event for people to get to know other people who can be part of HackOut this year. But before we get to that social event and the cool game we got set up, I want to talk to you a little bit about your experience with HackOut, so people can learn a bit more about that. So you signed up to be part of HackOut last year. How did you even hear about the event last year?
So it came down to a random tweet. Actually, in February of 2019, I was kind of having a hard go at fundraising for another company. And I was just looking for any sort of LGBT plus type entrepreneurship activity or investor or network. And I saw this tweet about HackOut. I read through the website. I watched the video. And at first I was like, this seems a little too good to be true. But lo and behold, it wasn't. And yeah, we signed up. And before you knew it, we were in Texas.
That's great. So I know before I went to my first event like this, I was thinking, gosh, what have I got myself into? Like, am I up for it? Like, what's going to happen? Do you remember what you were thinking before HackOut last year?
Yeah, we were really excited because we kind of went down and we thought we could make a really formidable play to build something that had value and take that first place. And so for us, the anxiety was just making sure we could show up and compete because we knew we were in a group of our peers and other super talented people. And, we knew it wasn't a given. So for us, it just kind of was like the bar had been raised. And for this event, kind of felt the culmination of what it meant to be a queer entrepreneur. And we were just so excited to step up to bat to do that.
So, by the way, if you've got questions for Robbi, be sure to drop them in the chat and we might be able to come back to them later in the show. But I want to ask you, so where did Solace end up at? Where did you guys get to?
So Solace at present is the largest platform for the transgender community in the entire US. We're going to be expanding into Mexico later this year. So we're becoming an international platform. We've got 3 FTEs, so full-time employees. That's their total livelihood. And wow. It really blossomed into something that far exceeded all of our expectations. So it, in a lot of ways, couldn't be going any better.
By the way, I forgot. I should have said first. Like, what is the problem that Solace solves?
Yeah, so Solace takes aim at the problem of information regarding gender transition. So previous to our existence, we found that the information sources were pretty disparate and there wasn't a good aggregation of it. So we set out to make a really comprehensive guide that matched people's experiences. And we just wanted to make transition suck less. That was the question that we started with. So,
Robbi, you went to HackOut. You just had an idea for Solace. Did you build the app that weekend?
So we built our MVP and then just a technical MVP to prove that it was viable, and then a prototype. And that became the basis for our work for the next about 8 months leading up to the app launch. So we knew we were going, but we still had some work in front of us even after the weekend.
What is a technical MVP?
So for us, it was just making sure that there was enough tech out there that would support, something that we were trying to make. So for us, it was Typeform, which is kind of like SurveyMonkey, but just actually, much better tool in my opinion. And it was connected to Trello by a Zapier connection. And all we were trying to do is just prove that you can wire up all these technologies. It works in this kind of functional way, and this could be built at a more intentional and bigger scale. So, because the last thing you want to do is dream up an idea that's so unobtainable, and you do all this hard work and you build something, and then you get to the end and you're like, well, how do I even start this thing?
Okay. And then you eventually did build an app, though.
We
right?
did. We did. We actually launched on December 31st, 2019. So it took us a while to actually get to app launch. We had a lot of fundraising to do. We had a lot of time, a lot of research and development to put into it. And, it was all remote working. So in a lot of ways, HackOut 2020 as it is right now is very emblematic of what the startup is, because for us, we were just working after our regular jobs from 5 to 10 p.m. for months and months and months without any sort of pay or anything like that. But we kept going to get to app launch.
You mentioned a fundraise. How did that come about?
Yeah, so we decided to crowdfund just because we took the unusual path of structuring Solace as a 501c3 nonprofit. And so for us, it wasn't really like there was a venture capitalist or an angel investor. We did apply for some grants and we got a few, but they're really looking for the company to be fully established or the nonprofit to be established to get those. And so we just put out this very impassioned video, as generally I speak kind of all the time, really can't turn it off. But that just explained what we were trying to build and asked people to contribute on nothing but, saying, we know we can get this done and this needs to be made. And so I think we raised north of about $45,000 before my co-founder and I made the jump to full time and fully built out the app.
That's awesome.
Thank you.
How did that? And did you do the coding yourself, or how did that come about? Did you hire somebody?
Yeah, so I'm a front-end developer and the world's worst back-end developer. Like, if you want a system broken, invite me in as a back-end developer. And so we actually ended up partnering with another firm. They were called Crowdbotics. They were absolutely incredible to work with. We still work with them over and over again. And in terms of the contribution and the time we needed to pay of theirs, it was only about $2,600 for version 1 of Solace. And so it can be done on a budget, and especially even those small just kind of starts and those small contributions can actually get you the distance. I was incredibly surprised when it came back at that figure. Wow,
you could go workshop on just how to get to your initial app launch on a shoestring budget would be something that a lot of people would tune into that workshop.
Yeah. Let's open source it. Let's give away all the secrets.
So, one of the things we do during HackOut is obviously we have a lot of people who come to HackOut and pitch ideas and form teams. The other element that we always make a part of the event is to bring a lot of mentors to plug into those teams and help them succeed. What was your experience with mentors during HackOut?
Yeah, so kind of two sides of it. One is that I met a number of people and mentors I still have an existing business relationship with. They have been our fiscal sponsor in the nonprofit capacity. They've been interim chairs of our board in a for-profit capacity. And a lot of those relationships have had a lot of just longevity to it. Regrettably, I did skip out on a number of the events at HackOut 19. So, do as I say, not as I did. And I did miss some of those connections. I was so focused and just kind of like trying to, play to win that I was a bit myopic in terms of like seeing the full value. And so what I can say to the mentors is like the connections that I made were absolutely incredible. And I do wish I would have made more of those connections, because I'm sure that would have opened things up a lot earlier and made life honestly a lot easier for a fledgling company.
Yeah, we've got it. It's great to hear that the connections you did make actually were super helpful to you. We have there's organizers on the team who are just dedicating a lot of time to building up a great roster of mentors to support teams throughout the weekend, and you're going to have access to all those people and bios as soon as HackOut begins. So, what's one of the biggest challenges that Solace faces now?
Yeah, so for us, we're kind of starting, for lack of a better word, a monetization strategy. For this kind of app, it was really difficult because we didn't want to put up any sort of paywalls or data mining or anything like that. So we just launched a subscription service that we call Solace Plus. And in a lot of ways, it's the whole startup all over again. We've got our existing advantages. We've got this massive user base. We've got a trusted following. We've got kind of all the right metrics that we want to speak to. But it is, in every sense of the word, a startup all over again. Like, how do you print things? How do you ship things in a timely fashion? What is the difference between a digital product and a physical product? And that's something that's really consuming all of our time. So it's a good challenge to have because it honestly makes me feel alive in a lot of ways. I love being in this just early stage of a company. But it's super nerve-wracking because, there's not a lot of margin for error for us.
Yeah, no, it's great to hear about the journey that you're going on, and launching the Solace Plus will be an interesting, or just change a big new direction for the company. So we'll see what happens with that.
Fingers crossed.
So finally, I want to ask, what advice would you have for people who are looking at HackOut and they see HackOut coming up and they see what you were able to accomplish with HackOut? What advice would you give to people going into HackOut and perhaps looking to prepare for in advance of HackOut to have the best experience?
Yeah, I mean, really going into it with an open mind and a willingness to just embrace everything about it. I know in those just, different kind of promos and teasers and all that when people are like, yeah, this is an incredible, life-changing experience and all that, it's hard to grasp because it feels very academic. But for me, it was the start of my professional career as I know it today. And it has just done so much good and was the formation for everything we did over the last, year plus of time. So for those that are just getting started out, just taking this on in just as holistic as a way as you can, and being willing to commit to those great ideas and being willing to put in the work after the weekend if you feel like you've really got something, because it can turn into something much bigger. The pathway is not going to be easy, but you're part of a group of peers and they'll lift you up. HackOut gave us a huge lift. And that's just what our community does because we know how hard the game is. And this is kind of an equalizer. And that's just incredible. And it can be life-changing.
Yeah, and I echo what you said. I've met a lot of wonderful people at HackOut in the years that I've been involved with it. I'm really happy to still have those friendships. They've been as valuable as any kind of things I've learned about business or startups in the course of the event. So don't do a Robbi and skip all the social events, but but tune into them because it's half the experience.
See y'all.
Bye.
Bye. I love you.